Hello again. I'm back with just not so much a demo on progress, but I just wanted to talk about a couple of things. I'm playing in VR now. The first point I wanted to make was, oh, dang, my footpad's way over there. Just a second, let me reset. Reset viewer viewpoint. There, that's better. But you notice the footpad is a little out of sync with the actual floor. And as I reach my hand down, there's no physical rendering of my hand right now, but judging with my eyesight, I can tell my hand is actually going through the floor. And I think that's because my headset is not actually calibrated with my actual floor. I don't think it's a problem with the program, so I'll have to look at that. I'm still rendering the partition boundaries and the boundaries for the objects. But one thing that I wanted to show off was, well, I wasn't sure if I actually demonstrated this yet. I'm going to see if I can do this. I'm going to try to run forward and see if I can jump and crouch jump, basically. That's not a crouch jump. I only landed on the third step. Let me try this one more time. Crouching is hitting the joystick and jumping is... Okay, let's see if I can do this again. There we go. I landed on the fourth step. So I did a successful crouch jump. If I'm airborne, the crouch will lift your feet up a little bit and lower your head a little bit. I'm thinking about just raising the feet up so you get even more height out of it. I'm not sure if I'll do that. And then I put in a couple platforms here. Whoops. So if I run and jump, I get a little bit more height. And that works. So one thing that I put in place, I demonstrated crouching already. And that works fine. And if I try to uncrouch, that fails until I move out and I can stand again. But what I can also do without actually doing a controlled crouch is I can bend down. And once I get down to a low enough height, I'm physically crouching now. Now if I can stand up, and I haven't put a blackout yet on sticking my head through colliders. That'll come eventually. But what I'll do is I'll walk forward and you'll notice that my speed will increase from crouching to walking speed when I finally get outside of the collider. So here we go. And that works. So that's cool. But the other main thing that I wanted to talk about was I ran into a problem. Oh, first I'll demonstrate this. I'll crouch, I'll climb, and I'll let myself collide. Then I'll try to stand, and then I'll move down. And when I get far enough down, I can stand up again. I'm going to do the same thing with crouching, with VR crouching. So now I'm going to physically VR crouch, or well, first, here I am colliding with my standing height, and then I will VR crouch, and then I can move up farther again. Now what I was running into was when I stood up and the code was trying to predict whether or not I could uncrouch, it was actually deciding that I could, and it ended up sticking my head above the upper surface, and I started sliding. When I moved down, I was actually sliding back using my head collider, and I was actually going up the surface, which was weird. What ultimately was happening was when I was walking up and pressing up against this, the code was detecting that I was starting to be airborne because apparently I wasn't in contact with this floor for more than 100 milliseconds. Exactly why, I'm not sure. Probably had something to do with how the collision detection and my velocity was being handled. So if I detect that I'm not on the ground for 100 milliseconds, I'll push myself down an inch and make sure that I'm not in contact with the surface. And if I'm not, then I'll mark myself as being airborne. So I'll still slide down this with gravity. So that primary fix took care of that issue. But my other concern though is that when it detected that I was airborne and it detected that I could stand up, that was also an incorrect calculation. So something is wrong with that routine as well. Because when I jump and crouch, my head goes down a little and my feet come up a little. So when you uncrouch, when you're airborne, I'll put the feet down a little and I'll put the head up a little and make sure that I fit before I decide that it's okay to uncrouch. And apparently that calculation succeeded against these two surfaces when it shouldn't have, where the standing, if I'm in contact with the ground beneath me and I try to uncrouch, that part works and properly detects the problem. So I don't know what's wrong there, but uncrouching in the air and running into that kind of situation is going to be so rare. I'm not going to try to look into that right now, but it's just a little frustrating when I run into these little problems and try to figure out what the problem is, and I realize there's a calculation issue with something that I did, and I have to put in an adjustment using my existing tools to try to avoid oddities falling through the world and things like that. So anyway, I'm still not at the point where I can walk up to steps and climb them. I have to define all of the possible situations for what stairs can look like. I mean, if I want to just lift myself up a foot and push myself forward a foot and realize that I can do that and decide that that's what a step is, then I would have this done already. But there's plenty of other kinds of steps that I could have. I could have jagged rocks at different angles jutting out from this wall, and they would also qualify as steps because you can lift yourself up a certain amount and move forward a certain amount and still be in contact with the surface. But the kind of challenge I'm running into, though, is that if these are extremely thin steps and it's very steep, that's not really a step. It's not a staircase. So you shouldn't be allowed to climb that, and I have to detect for that situation too. But in the future, that kind of a steep staircase would qualify as a climbing surface. And I do want to have climbing. I do want to have situations where you can scale and hold onto a ledge and go sliding around, or even if I hit jump here, if I hit jump, what's going on? Why is it? Come on, another problem? Why is it? Oh. So there's another issue. I don't know why this is happening. It's not letting me jump at my full height if I collide with a surface. No idea why. But in any case, I should be able to jump here and just immediately scale the surface. Same for jumping up to like a chest high. If I jump here, I should be able to scale this. And what is going on here? It was stopping me from moving for just a moment. Oh well, I have some more things to look at. So it's kind of frustrating when I run into these things and I have to stop and fix them. But I hope to make progress on the stairs soon, and I have to figure out what's wrong with these issues now. Let me do this one more time. Run, jump. Why is it stopping my jump? I don't understand this. It makes no sense. So I'll have to put some debugs in place and figure out what's going on there. Anyway, okay, well, thank you for watching, and I hope to have another video up soon. I will see you then.